Would you believe me if I told you that I am making more money than doctors and lawyers just by speaking with people over Zoom? No degree, no special skills, just a laptop and internet connection. 3 years ago, I would have laughed at the idea. I was quite literally a broke restaurant worker working 12-hour shifts. I had a daughter on the way and I had no idea how I was going to support myself, let alone support a child. And I tried everything. E-commerce, Amazon FBA, crypto. I even bought a drop shipping program. I spent my last $4,000 and it led me nowhere. Then I started seeing this one name everywhere, Iman Gadzhi. You know, the 23-year-old that built a $100 million company by teaching people how to start an agency. And everyone wanted to know his secret. How did he scale so fast? What made his program different? But the one question that nobody was asking was who was closing these deals for him? Well, what if I told you that in just 10 months, I closed well over $2 million in sales for Iman. And with 3 years of working at his company, I closed a hell of a lot more. I went from making $3,000 a month in a restaurant to earning over $42,000 in commission in one single month. And here's the craziest part. I beat out over 2,000 applicants for this one single role with not much sales experience. How did that happen? Well, that's what this video is about. Because the path that I took to become Iman's top closer is not what you'd expect. And it all started off with this desperate mistake that I made that somehow surprisingly worked out perfectly. You see, before Iman, I saw a Instagram reel of Alex Hormozi talking about a 19-year-old kid on his remote sales team that was earning over $20,000 per month. And I was desperate, so desperate to the point where I actually booked a call with Alex Hormozi's team thinking it was a job interview. It turns out it wasn't. The call was for gym owners that were looking to purchase this consulting program. Instead, they got me, a 21-year-old kid with a nice little button up on, sitting in my mom's dining room table, trying to convince them to hire me to their team. Surprisingly, it worked, but that is just the beginning. Working at Gym Launch is where I first learned what real sales is all about, but not in the way you'd expect. Most people think that sales is just pitching a product and handling objections. But they had figured out something different, something that would be crucial to my success with Iman. Instead of cold calling gym owners every day, we would call them and invite them on a podcast.
We always close the highest percentage on our deals when we had people finishing our program. Right? Because on the days that we would finish our cohorts, our groups of clients, we'd have all these success stories that would go again after another, after another, after another. We do all these interviews on one day. And so my sales team would watch this happen, and then they would get on the phones and they would be so convicted about what they were selling.
But here's what made it genius. These gym owners were hustling every day, grinding with their heads down, trying to figure out how to grow their business. And suddenly, here's this platform where they could showcase their gym, talk about their story, and get some marketing exposure. But not only that, they'd get to speak with someone who actually understands the challenges that gym owners go through in their industry. That lesson, give value before asking for anything, became the foundation of how I approach sales. But it wasn't the only thing that I learned in my journey. When I saw that Iman was hiring closers on his Instagram story, I knew that was my shot. Well over 2,000 people applied, and most of them were trying to showcase their numbers, talk about their sales experience, showcase their close rate. So I took a different approach. I knew that people make decisions emotionally. So for me to land this role, I need their team to buy into me as a human being first. And so through multiple interviews with Iman's CEO, Paul Daly, I focused on building a real connection with him. Instead of trying to prove how experienced of a salesperson I am, I showed him how committed I was to learning, growing, and helping other people succeed. You see, I studied Iman's content. I saw someone who was actually changing lives, and I believed in it. And Paul could tell that I wasn't just looking for another paycheck. I genuinely wanted to be a part of something bigger. And that's when I learned my second big lesson with sales. People do not buy from the most skilled salesperson. They buy from the person who is most convicted in what it is that they're selling. Think of it this way. Have you ever had somebody tell you something that they believe so hard in that they make you question your own beliefs? I know I have, and I was not closing deals because I had the best scripts or the best closing experience. I was closing because I truly believed in the transformation that we were offering. And that belief made prospects feel dumb to say no to me. For example, I had this call on my very first week. I still remember it, with this guy who was He had a corporate job and he was kind of miserable with his current situation. And he explained to me this entire dream state, right? This vision of what he wants his life to look like. You know, most salespeople would hear that and jump straight into pitching the program and explaining, hey, this is how we're going to get you to quit your job and help you start an agency and so forth. Instead, I asked two simple questions. Number one, I said, listen, man, I'm going to ask you a question. Don't hate me. And of course he said, okay. And I followed up with, you just explained this entire vision and this life that you want to live. You want to travel, you want to make a certain amount of money. Would you ever be able to do that if you just stay in the same position you're in now? It's an obvious question, and of course he said no. And I followed up with, listen, man, sometimes, you know, my job is to help people realize the transformation that they need to make. If you don't mind me asking, what do you think you need to do? And from there, he opened up completely, talking about how he wants to be there to attend his kids' soccer games and build something that he's proud of. That's when I realized that we're not just selling, you know, a program, we're selling a life transformation. Once I got this, everything changed. My first month with Iman, I earned about $12,000. My second month, I did $15,000. By my third month, I doubled my commission to $35K per month. You know, I still remember showing my dad my commission check because I was still living with him at the time. And I showed him how much cash I collected that month, which was just about $300,000. And I remember him saying, you know, that's cool, son. What do you get, like 2% of that? And I told him, no, this is actually a $35,000 commission check this month. And his jaw dropped. But month after month, as Iman's brand grew, so did my commission checks. You know, after that $35K month, it turned into $20,000 consistent months for me. And eventually we started hitting $30,000 consistent months. With topping off, my biggest month was about $42K in commission from a laptop in my parents' garage with no degree. But here's what really matters. It wasn't just about the money. For the first time in my life, I was able to give my daughter the things I didn't have growing up. I remember when I got that $42K commission check, I was sitting in my car. I thought back to like probably a year and a half before that. I remember it was winter and my daughter was like 6 months old and I couldn't afford pajamas for her and I could tell she was getting like really cold at night. She kept growing out of her clothes and I had to ask my family, my cousin, if I could borrow like $200 for him. And of course I paid him back, but that was like a time where I felt the most shame. And I just thought it was so cool to see how much my own life transformed by helping other people transform their lives in the past year and a half. Going from really, literally having nothing to earning more money than a doctor and lawyer as a remote salesperson. No more 16-hour days, no more missing important moments. I could work from anywhere, control my own schedule, and still make more money than people with fancy degrees. Now I spend my time teaching people how to do the same, just like Lorelei, who landed a sales role through me and earned $14,000 in commission in one single month. Or even Michael Santana. Michael landed a role within 14 days of working with me. It was a tech-based offer. He started off doing really well, but by month 5, he earned $39,000 in commission in one single month. They didn't need special skills or experience. They just needed to understand what I'm sharing with you now. And here's the truth. If I had to start over, I wouldn't touch e-commerce or dropshipping. I'd go straight into sales because with the right vehicle and the right mindset, anybody could do this. And I'm living proof. You know, I went from being a broke restaurant worker to closing millions of dollars of deals, and I'm nothing special. That is actually why I'm making this video. The same lesson that I learned at the beginning of my journey, give value before asking for anything, is the same thing that I'm doing now. You know, I do want these videos, or even myself, to showcase how to avoid the same mistakes that I made when getting into remote sales. If you want to learn my complete framework on how to become a top performing closer, click the link in the description and I'll send you a ton of resources over email. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, once you learn to sell, you will never starve. And lastly, I'll add in this as well. The purpose of sales is not to sell for the rest of your life. In my opinion, it's to make as much money as humanly possible in a short period of time that you could then take and reinvest back into yourself to get out of sales. Thanks for watching.